Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let's try this one more time. I cut the connection to the Xbox. I think that was pulling on the feed, like too many things pulling from the same trough. I'm seeing myself moving and shaking, so I'm going to take that as if I am up. I'm going to take that as if I'm up. And I am, let me see, people are saying YouTube should like this, Trump is in this title. My stream is saying offline, but I heard some tapping. There we go. Good. We're up. So, guys, thank you for staying with me. For those of you who don't know, I restarted this video. So the other video I'm probably going to end up killing. In fact, not end up. I'm definitely going to end up killing. It's almost like a minute of me frozen to some to that effect. But this one should be fine. And I see the feed. It looks like it's doing well. So let's continue where we started, where we left off. A little known story that I call this Trump goes nuclear. Now, I don't mean nuclear weapons. I don't mean nuclear bombs. Yes, he chose John Bolton because he chose John Bolton. That's taking up all the air in the room. Meaning, it's like somebody screams fire in a theater and everyone looks at the fire, missing something that may be fundamentally just as important, if not more so. But the fire thing is it draws so much attention. John Bolton being chosen for anything dealing with foreign policy is terrifying. That man shouldn't be anywhere near Washington. And he will be whispering in the president's ear. This maniac who thought it was perfectly okay to invade Iraq, who is screaming now weapons of mass destruction again, is now whispering in Trump's ears. But that's not my point. There's something else that took place while this was being announced with John Bolton that's just as important and is literally the kind of signal that Trump is going nuclear. I've said the point, people of policy, meaning him choosing John Bolton. You can't make the argument that this is not what Donald Trump wants. He chose John Bolton. He's a maniac. Well, there's something else that goes along with this idea of people of policy. Joe DeGeneres. Now, I don't know if you know who this guy is. This guy is a prosecutor or a former district prosecutor. And in fact, I'm not even going to tell you. I'm going to let him talk about it. This deals with the Russia collusion thing. Donald Trump is taking a completely new tact and disposition with Russia collusion. Beforehand, he said he was going to work with Mueller, and now he sends out this tweet. And this tweet is forewarning what is about to take place. This. The fake news is beside themselves that McCabe was caught, called out, and fired. How many hundreds of thousands of dollars was given to his wife's campaign by crooked Hillary friend Terry McAuliffe, who was under investigation? How many lies, how many leaks? Comey knew it all and much more. The Mueller probe should never have been started there. There was no collusion. There was no crime. It's based on fraudulent activities like a fake dossier paid for by the crooked Hillary and DNC and properly used in the FISA court for the surveillance of my campaign witch hunt. Now, Donald Trump has said all sorts of things in which have made nonsense and everything else. That's correct. That is fundamentally correct. Everything that he said, Mueller probe should never have been started. There was no collusion. There was no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and dossier paid for by crooked Hillary. All of that's correct. That is absolutely correct. The person who blew the whistle on the whole Trump thing was somebody who worked for the Clinton Foundation. The dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton. All of this stuff that they used for this, the FISA court didn't even include that bit of information when they got the FISA warrant on Donald Trump in order to surveil his campaign. Everything he said in this tweet is correct. Now, has Donald Trump gotten much money from Russia Mafia? Maybe. It's very possible. Is he using the presidency and monetizing the presidency? Yes, he is. Did he collude with Russia? No, he did not. No, he did not. This is bogus. The same edifice that got Hillary Clinton off was the same thing that got Donald Trump on. And if it got Hillary Clinton off and Donald Trump is Hillary Clinton's opponent, it makes perfect sense that those things run in line with one another. The moment that you can make the connection that says Comey let Hillary Clinton walk, you've created this thing showing that this kind of FBI with a bias. That is massively important. Like, I keep going back to the Clinton and Comey thing getting off, because that's the thing that's the stake in the ground in the universe that says, whoa, based on your rule set, she shouldn't have walked. What did you do? Who was a part of this that allowed her to walk? And then you find that the same people allowed her to walk were the same people that allowed Trump to put him on with a FISA warrant. This smells. Now, Donald Trump putting this out in a tweet is one thing, but this is very specific language. Donald Trump wasn't talking this way before, but there was somebody who was talking this way. The prosecutor that I mentioned earlier, Joe DeGeneva. Joe DeGeneva has just been hired by Donald Trump. I'm going to show you who Joe DeGeneva is. In fact, I'm going to show him to you now. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Joe DeGeneva. I may be pronouncing his name slightly wrong, but I'm going to show you part of this video. I'll put the whole video at the bottom. Former prosecutor. He knows his legal stuff. And he is saying the exact same thing that I've been saying for the past years. This was a stitch up. There was no Russian collusion. This goes back to 2015. This is kind of my point. But Donald Trump wasn't speaking in this language before. This language is very specific. And I make the point that this is a very different tact with regards to how he's changed his disposition in dealing with the Russia thing. Let's take a look at what Trump has to say about this. Or what Joe DeGeneva. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Connect the dots for us and tell the significance of the fact patterns that are starting to get unraveled. Why is this a big deal?
It's a big deal because I have a saying. The FBI used to spy on the Russians. This time they spied on us. What this story is about, it's about a brazen plot to, again, exonerate Hillary Clinton from a clear violation of the law with regard to the way she handled classified information with her private server. Absolutely a crime, absolutely a felony. It's about finding out why, as the Inspector General is doing at the Department of Justice, why Comey and the senior DOJ officials conducted a fake criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, followed none of the regular rules, gave her every break in the book, immunized all kinds of people, allowed the destruction of evidence, no grand jury, no subpoenas, no search warrant. That's not an investigation. That's a Potemkin village. It's a farce, and everybody knew it was a farce. The problem was she didn't win. And because she didn't win, the farce became a very serious opera. It wasn't a comic opera anymore. It was a tragic opera, and she was going to be the focus. What this is about a lavabo, a cleansing of the FBI and the upper echelons of the Department of Justice. We're going to discover that the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, her deputy, Sally Yates, the head of the National Security Division, John Carlin, Bruce Orr, and other senior DOJ officials and, regrettably, line attorneys, people who were senior career civil servants, violated the law, perhaps committed crimes, and covered up crimes by a presidential candidate. But more than that, they tried to frame an incoming president with a false Russian conspiracy that never existed, and they knew it, and they plotted to ruin him as a candidate and then destroy him as a president. That's why this is important. That's why connecting the dots is important, because the FBI now has to be completely reconstructed from the ground up. The men and women at the Bureau are great people. That's not who we're talking about. We never have been. We are talking about people like James Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, Baker, Prystepp, who was a name nobody knows. He's the head of the Counterintelligence Division, and he was the one who was involved in planning this entire crazy thing involving Fusion GPS, the false dossier, and creating evidence. This is what people have to understand. What the Bureau did was, by working with Fusion GPS and giving contractors access to highly classified information which they had no legal right to see, they needed to create something they could give to the court, the Foreign Intelligence Court, so that they could get wiretaps and surveillance taps and email taps and phone taps on the Trump people, so that if there was anything, they could find it out. Of course, there was nothing. There never was anything. And they created false facts so that they could get surveillance warrants. Those are all crimes. Every single one of those acts constitutes a crime because it was done not for a legitimate law enforcement reason, not for national security reasons, but to create a false case against a candidate, Donald Trump, a
Okay, that's behaving weirdly. That's Joe DiGeneva. I hope that little part gets across why this is such a total
false
shift
facts. So
in regards to the way his campaign was taking this. I mean, this guy is full on. I could kiss this man. Like, he's saying exactly the way that I looked at this particular case. If you don't have sides in this, like if you don't look at this from the standpoint of you're on each of these parties' wavelengths and stuff like that. Assume for the moment that you're a Democrat. Pretend you're not on their wavelength. Like, pretend you're not giving these guys the benefit of the doubt for the best behavior. Assume for the moment that, look, when we're looking at this, sometimes people look at this stuff like it's this kind of dramatic thing that's taking place. It's like you're naming these names, and it's like, oh, this opera of people who are doing these things. No, they thought they were doing the best thing for a friend. Meaning they thought, look, Hillary Clinton is the best person for this thing, so we're going to do what we need to do to make sure she's not put in prison. It doesn't have to be the space opera and all this other stuff. No, they're just doing what they're doing. Meaning they're functioning in the way that they're functioning, thinking Hillary Clinton was going to win. If Hillary Clinton won, all of this goes away. There's no issue. The problem here is she lost. Like, that's the point that he's making. All of this. The problem is that they lost. Nobody would be talking about this if she won. Meaning all of this stuff with the Russian collusion stuff was all there, this way of hitting him in the knees and tying up his presidency for the entire term of his presidency. With this idea that in 4 years, they would have tarnished him so painfully that he wouldn't be able to leap over the finish line. And to be honest, they've made him toxic like nobody's business. Now, don't get me wrong, Trump has played into this. He has no political instincts from standpoint. He's a television show host. I mean, so let's be honest. He doesn't think of this from the standpoint of a politician where he can be tarred and he's thinking of this from political lens. But that has been their mission. That has been the way that they've approached this. Donald Trump has cooperated with Mueller. And he's gone along with this for, 2 years at this point? But now he's bringing on Joe DiGeneva. And DiGeneva, as you've just heard, has looked at this as all a farce. This is a game. This is a joke. And the thing that Donald Trump said in that tweet is a synthesis of what DiGeneva has been saying. Let's look a little bit more. I've fixed the video. Let's see. Flip.
that they could get surveillance warrants. Those are all crimes. Every single one of those acts constitutes a crime because it was done not for a legitimate law enforcement reason, not for national security reasons, but to create a false case against a candidate, Donald Trump, a president-elect, Donald Trump, and a president, Donald Trump. The FISA court opinion of April 27th of 2017 outlines a series of illegal disclosures to contractors. It is believed that among those contractors were Fusion GPS and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is the company that was used to bleach Hillary's computer. CrowdStrike, if what
Listen to what he's saying. I mean, and again, if you're a Democrat, a wayward Democrat, and you're a Democrat with questions, and you've arrived here at this particular channel, and you said, I believe Hillary Clinton and everything that the Democratic Party has been saying, and I believe that the FBI would never do such a thing and everything else. I understand you may think that way because you're looking at that party in a particular light, that you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. But don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They're political actors. They're politicians. And what does this look like when you don't give them the benefit of the doubt? What he's saying makes sense. Why didn't Hillary Clinton give her servers to the FBI? and now, I'm sorry, not Hillary Clinton. Why didn't the Democratic Party, the DNC, give their service to the FBI? They can never answer that question. Have you noticed that? They never answered that question. Why haven't they answered that question? They have, according to the DNC, they were attacked by a foreign actor. Okay, you were attacked by a foreign actor. Some foreign entity, this red menace coming out of nowhere, just bites into your servers. Fair enough. Now, these guys are supposed to be so good, so agile, they're dipping in and out of computer systems and everything else. You're attacked. Oh my God. Donna Brazile is terrified. She's terrified. And the first instinct is not to call the cops. Meaning, we have a decorated, federally funded investigative unit in this country called the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And they have a division of this that are experts at looking into cybercrime, especially the type that you're talking about, this idea of a foreign adversary attacked us. It would be easy as easy can be. I mean, it would make all the sense in the world to call them and say, look, something has attacked our servers. We think the Ruskies are out to get us. But you didn't do that. That's weird. I'm trying to get this thing across of showing how weird that is. Now, in every other capacity, they've deified the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, all of this alphabet soup. They've deified these institutions. But providing they were attacking Trump. You deify them in one sense, but you don't give them your servers. That seems weird. You pay a private entity to go into your servers to come up with information. Now, he's making the point that the only reason they would do that would be to bleach the servers. Now, and if you remember, veteran intelligence professionals said it looks like information was added to make it look like the Russians did it. Meaning, this wasn't a leak, or this wasn't a hack, this was a leak. The symbols, the speed at which these things or the information was transmitted was more commensurate with, I think he said, a USB card or like a data stick, not being transmitted over a wire. It was physically impossible for it to do that. Based on the speeds, anyway. He was going back to download speeds. They were analyzing the download speeds. I guess I'll make the point. What he's saying makes perfect sense. You're giving it to a private entity. You're getting that private entity to bleach the records. The presidency is at stake. I mean, ultimately, what you're talking about is one political party finding a way to attack the other political party, Donald Trump. Now, they may have told themselves that Donald Trump is a monster, so everything that we're doing in this process is perfectly okay because we're fighting a monster. You can tell yourself whatever you want. He's right. They are committing a crime. They literally have tried to delegitimize Donald Trump. Now, there's some irony to this because Donald Trump tried to delegitimize the prior president. That irony is not lost on me. Let's keep going. I give him a little bit more. I'm not going to watch the entirety of this because it's about 30 minutes long, but I put the video at the bottom. Let him keep going. I like what he's saying, and I absolutely agree with him.
What is being reported is true, and I've seen 2 reports about CrowdStrike being among the private contractors that were given a false case against a candidate, Donald Trump, a president of It is believed that among those contractors were Fusion GPS and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is the company that was used to bleach Hillary's computer. CrowdStrike, if what is being reported is true, and I've seen 2 reports about CrowdStrike being among the private contractors that were given access to raw 702 incidental collection of American citizens under FISA warrants. If that is true, they have committed crimes. The Bureau who gave them information committed crimes. There is huge civil liability for CrowdStrike and for the FBI officials. And right now, there's at least 2 lawsuits pending against Mr. Steele, the former MI6 agent who wrote the Steele dossier at the payment of Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS has been sued. I expect if these facts come out from the FISA court showing that these contractors got this information, they will all be sued. Now, they may declare bankruptcy and not be able to pay, but the people don't realize that this is already on the public record, that these things happen. The question which has been blanked out from this opinion, as you can see, this is all dark, all through the opinion. What they've done is they've blanked out the names of the contractors and the names of the FBI and DOJ officials who broke the law. That is going to come out. That's what Nunes has. He has all that information now. He knows what's in these blanks that the court blanked out. The court did the right thing. It's not supposed to reveal that. But once you start doing oversight, constitutional oversight, those blanks go away to Congress. And we will know shortly who the private contractors were that were allowed to break the law by the FBI. When Comey goes to visit President Trump at the White House about the Flynn case and all that, remember, the president is president at that point. There's no reason for Comey to be doing anything. If the president wanted to meet with him, he didn't have to go. He went and he told the president, for example, about the dossier. Now, why would an FBI director tell a president about this salacious document, which Comey admitted under oath there was no proof for, no validity? He was playing J. Edgar Hoover. He was blackmailing the president of the United States. He was saying, I know all about this. Now, I'm not going to say anything about it, of course. Of course, if it ever gets out, it's just going to be awful. Do you want me to stay in my job? I mean, Comey is a person so devoid of a moral compass. He describes himself as Thomas Becket. I said to somebody the other day, he's not Thomas Becket. He's the assassin, Henry II, who killed Thomas Becket. That's who Comey is. He's an assassin. He's a political assassin.
So when you follow the money of Fusion GPS.
All right, we don't need to see the entirety of it. I just wanted you to get an idea of who this guy was. Like, saying his name doesn't really say anything. Letting him explain his theory of the case. He was a prosecutor. Let him explain his theory of the case is a better way to get across the tonal shift in the way that Donald Trump is dealing with this issue. Now, the story that came up, that brought this up, had to do with this. What John Dowd's exit mean for Trump's Mueller approach? More fire and fury. More fire and fury is right. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're taking the disposition that the Mueller probe is a political hit job and that it's entirely bogus. It's there purely to either find information on Donald Trump with the probe itself, or at the very least tarnish the presidency of Trump for, indefinitely make him a lame duck when it comes time around for his election in 2020. Let's see. With one lawyer going from Donald Trump's legal team and another joining it, legal analysts speculate that the group defending the president from the special counsel investigation will now take a more hardline approach. On Thursday, John Dowd resigned from the team 3 days after it was announced that Trump had hired Joe DiGenova. DiGenova, a former United States attorney, is a regular fixture on television where he has spoken about a brazen plot to frame Trump. Until recently, Trump's lawyer has said that they were cooperating with the Mueller probe. The president understands that he has a great deal of respect for Mueller, and the president has been determined to handle this in a transparent, collaborative way with special counsel Ty Cobb, one of the lawyers told Newsweek in December. Indeed, Cobb and Mueller used to go to lunch together when they were prosecutors more than 3 decades ago. But that messaging appeared to shift substantially last week when Dowd told the Daily Beast that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein should bring an end to the Mueller investigation. Dowd initially informed the outlet that he was speaking on behalf of Trump, then later claimed he was speaking only for himself in a personal capacity. The same day that the story was published, Trump addressed Mueller by name for the first time on Twitter. The Mueller probe should never have been started, and there was no collusion and there was no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and a fake dossier paid for by Crooked Hillary and the DNC, and it properly used the FISA court for surveillance of my campaign. Witch hunt, he tweeted. With Dowd out and DiGenova in, Trump could be looking for his lawyers to move forward with a different strategy, according to Patrick Cotter, an office at the law firm of Greensfelder, Hemmick, and Gale, and a former federal prosecutor. As the case progressed, a client begins to feel that the strategy that one or more lawyers were pursuing isn't working out for them, and they were looking for a new champion. Carter said that tends to happen during the Carter called tipping points in a case. For Trump, the tipping point could be the issue of whether he would sit for an interview with the Mueller team. Trump could also be looking for a new strategy. Certainly, the one emphasizing cooperation has failed to bring about a speedy end to the probe, and his lawyers anticipated. Geneva's being brought in such a public way, and Dowd leaving at the same time, suggests to me that DeGeneva intends to take a more aggressive and quite possibly more public-oriented defensive posture. One thing to keep note here, this DeGeneva is literally talking about prosecuting the FBI, I said that wrong. He's not talking about literally prosecuting the FBI. He's prosecuting his case from that standpoint, meaning what you heard there was a brazen plot by members of the FBI during the Obama administration to get Hillary off and get Trump on. And again, the moment that you allow for the fact that Comey lied, that Comey did let Clinton off, that Clinton should have been perp walked, that there were people who got perp walked for the exact same crime that Comey let Hillary off on, and that even the speech that he gave was not telling the truth. The intent had nothing to do with the process. Soon as you hit that point, when you hit your head on that point, it is hard to not look across the aisle and say, if Comey is using the edifice of the FBI in a way that allows Clinton to get off, could other members who are terrified of Donald Trump taking hold use the office to allow him to get on? Taking a case off one, putting a case on someone else. And when you look at what they used to put the case on Trump in order to spy on his campaign, oh, it falls apart. It totally falls apart. So, this is a shift in the way that Donald Trump is handling the case. And the amazing question is, what does that shift look like in real terms? Like, yes, DeGeneva is a firebrand. But what does that look like in the real world, in real world terms? I think what you're starting to see is Donald Trump saying on Twitter, this is a farce. This is a farce. These guys are out for a political witch hunt against me. If he's saying it out loud. He's saying it out loud. So the question is, what else? What else? What else? What else takes place? How does this express itself in physical matter, reality? I am totally curious about this. So, totally curious. All right, so let's see. John Bolton is ass dash. John Bolton is an ass dash. That's funny. Did the NRA demand that YouTubers drop Jamal's show again? The insane progressive wasn't a feature. What? Jamal's videos and phone goes nuts. It looks okay on my end. Yeah, it looks okay on my end. But it is showing low feed. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's moving on my end, guys. All right, let's see. No, those are your words, not mine. Uh-oh, you guys are arguing. What are you arguing about? You guys are arguing. Somebody's pissed off. Comey has worked for the Clintons. I am not sure why he did what he did after the tarmac meeting, but I am sure Clinton has a plan. That tarmac meeting was horrendous. Like, it's just too brazen, man. It's so over the top. Like, it's not even a soft display of power. It's this brazen, open, yes, there is a difference between you and us. The man's wife was about to be perp walked, and he goes and speaks to the attorney general to make sure that the fix is in. Don't worry, Bill. She'll get off. Now, when you asked him, no, she would never tell you that that's what she said. What she would say is, we talked about our grandkids. That's all we talked about. We just talked about our grandkids. They're just regular Joe Schmoes. It's a catch-22. He's right. It must be done or create a dangerous legal precedent. Scary part is even more right-wing lawyers, judges, and law enforcers appointed to Trump is a blow to progressives. That part is true. That part is true. I'm speaking very specifically about the case. Joe DeGeneva wasn't brought in for this other stuff. He was brought in specifically to rebuff this idea of Russia narrative. That's the only reason he would be brought in. Like Katie Johnson called John Bolton a weapon. Joe DeGeneva is also a weapon in this regard.